What is up, everybody? Mark on the mic here, joined by Mr. Ian Klemm. You asked for him. Literally, I saw it in the comments. You asked for him. And as per nearly always, oftentimes, a very staple, the heart of the Vortex Nation podcast.
What are you talking about?
Mr. Ryan Muckenhern.
God.
You know it's true. As happens, gentlemen, at times, we're not afraid to shift on the fly around here. MC Ryan is pulling his hair out, but we aren't. You know, we go with the flow. I had a concept in mind for this podcast. A little bit of confusion there on the front end. We worked it out. Not worked it out. There's nothing to work out. Really, frankly, Ian brought a rifle and a way better idea, and we're going to go with that.
No, it was my fault. I clicked yes to the invite, and I should have said, like, what is this about? Because I didn't understand, and I went off track. So you're accommodating. I appreciate it. Hopefully the story will be worth the time spent on it.
I think so. We got something really cool to talk about.
There's a show and tell.
Yeah.
Let's fire the weapon.
Ian, I mean this too. Like, lots of comments. More Ian. We want more Ian. And I second that.
Mm-hmm. I don't believe it, but
I triple it.
Well,
it's true.
Okay.
Well, you're committed now. What do you got in this? I was trying to get you to show me pre-podcast. You wouldn't.
You're making me feel okay about myself.
This might be part of our...
You know what? On that, you're one of the coolest dudes I've ever met in my life.
Now I'm getting very embarrassed and very self-conscious.
I'm telling you, the first time that we ever spent any time together out of the office was at Winnequa when you pulled out an attaché case with the first example of a K95 I ever saw.
That was a fun afternoon.
And you said, go ahead, shoot it. I'm like, this guy is the S word. And yeah.
Stupendous?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone's nerdy in their own way. And
that's a good way to be nerdy, man.
Embrace
mine.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, so...
I already love it.
I hope we have time for a short story. This is a rifle that I found in a pawn shop in Fort Lauderdale, right? And there were like maybe 24 guns in this place. This was one of 2 guns that had wood on, had a wood stock.
Can I ask what drew you to this pawn shop? Why did you end up there to begin with?
Nope, this is totally virtually, right? It's sort of a fun / lazy way of treasure hunting a little bit.
You have to happen yourself into them and then kind of unpack how did this item get here?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Right.
And then see it 1 or 2 or 3 more times and be like, aha, I understand now.
So this was one of those situations, and the description was daft. It was like a rifle with good like a shotgun ? And that was like the name of the listing. Anyway, good fortune for me. But the pictures were very grainy, and you couldn't really tell much from it, but you could see a couple things that sort of like green lighted you to make a speculative purchase. Yep. And it was a modest purchase, It was sort of like, well, this could be something really interesting, or maybe I, scratched my lotto ticket and it's not what I think it is. Yeah. But so it did end up being a double rifle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And when I got it, I knew that that price of entry to speculate on this, that gamble, was worth it. So from the pictures, I'll put it together here in a second, but from the pictures, I couldn't see relative size. There was nothing for scale or anything, but the one thing that stood out was there's gold on it. There's gold lettering to designate, the safe position on the tang safety, and then there's some sort of crest or some sort of monogram on the top lever. And you try to zoom in and enhance it, and you can't really see, but that was enough for me to sort of bite and say, yeah, this might be something. So I got it in, and when I started to inspect it, first thing I do is I look for the maker. So the maker was one I hadn't heard of before.
Now, when you say when you got it in, like you purchased it, yep. I'll take it.
Yep, sent my money off and crossed my fingers, and it made its way north, and it was kind of like opening up this present that you didn't know quite what it was, but you sort of had an idea. So it started sort of like an information treasure hunt. I put on my PI hat and did my Nancy Drew and started, as Ryan says, using the Google Foo and what can I find out about this? Where did it come from? What kind of life did it live? When was it from? So when I looked at the maker, it was, typical first initial, last name, W. Forster. Found out that's Wilhelm Forster of Berlin. But then there was this really long German word after his name. And I'm going to butcher this, and someone's going to correct me, and I hope they do, so that I can figure out how it's really pronounced. But it sounds like Hofhinsenmacher. And I never took German at all. I know, Ryan, you know a little bit. But translated to gunmaker to the royal court. In one word. I know, crazy, right? So then I started to get a little bit interested and excited.
That sounds serious.
It does. And come to find out later, it's not like a singular title. I think there have been several, but the way it kind of worked was you make a name for yourself, and through word of mouth and higher levels of clientele, all of a sudden, word of your acumen reaches a landlord or a countess or an archduke or something like that, and they're like, oh, this guy is better than all the other gun makers. We need to basically not like requisition him, but you're issued like a duty and say, okay, you're going to be building for the royal court from now on, and these are going to be commissioned pieces, and it could be the Tsar of Russia, finds out and says, all right, you're my gunmaker now, or anyone throughout Europe at the time. So that got me interested. And then I started to pay attention to what was this fine engraving on top of the receiver? It looks like a funny hat. So I started to research, different headwear for members of the court. And oddly, they're very, very specific. So when you start to look, there's enough detail on that engraving that you can pick out, okay, that's not an archducal hat or coronet. That's something else. And you start to look further and you say, okay, that's a prince's hat. That's what it's drawn as. You can see exactly which jewels were used, what the top piece is, the fact that there's seal fur on it. So then you start to nail down, okay, that's a prince's hat, and it's a prince within the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and it's only certain families within that empire, only certain lands. Okay, this is getting interesting. What's up with the letter? So custom back then, it wasn't the first initial of a surname. It was the first initial of a first name. Okay? And so there's date codes. There's proof marks and date codes on the gun like per normal. So I had a date to go by, and that date of manufacture, 1883. Okay? So, yeah, it's one of an early hammerless 1883 double rifle.
No way.
Yep. It's using the Anson-Dealey patent from 1875.
Yep.
So 8 years after. So fairly avant-garde for the style. And yeah.
Like I was looking at this, I'm thinking 1920s.
Right,
Yep.
right. Well, obviously the stock has been refinished along the way, and someone added a rubber butt pad.
Yeah, just looking at the receiver.
Yeah.
It's like,
the styling.
Looks like a lot of pre-war guns that I've...
Yeah. So 1883.
No way.
And then you start saying, okay, what princes were bombing around, the continent in 1883? There's some Maximilians, there's some Ferdinands, which ones start with R? And then the list gets super narrow. I found a Rupert, but Archduke, wrong hat, not a prince. But there's one, and
I'm getting chills.
Well, it's the heir apparent to the empire, the Crown Prince Rudolph. So the only male heir to Franz Joseph, the Emperor of Austria and Hungary. And so I said, okay, that's pretty exciting, but not conclusive. Let me start digging a little bit more. There's circumstantial things. Okay, so Rudolph, he I don't know if you guys know much about the Habsburg family or that. Okay, so he was their only son. This is Empress Elizabeth and Franz Josef, and he had kind of a tragic. He was like stricken with chronic melancholy, just like a sad case. He had kind of a tough childhood. His dad put a bunch of pressure on him, obviously, so he sent him off to training and school with fairly militaristic trainers. Then I think that kind of damaged him a little bit. He
wanted to be an artist.
He is a little bit of a sensitive soul. So his dad is, super, super hardline conservative. His mom, Elizabeth, she, because of her upbringing, was more of a sympathizer to the Hungarians. And he took after her. So he had a little bit more sympathetic, more liberal leanings. And I think his dad tried to sort of beat that out of him, along the way. But suffice to say, he grows up. His dad's an avid hunter, wants to take him out hunting all the time, all kinds of, driven game hunting and deer hunting and things like that. He does marry. It's an arranged marriage to the Duchess of Belgium, Stephanie, and it's kind of a loveless marriage, and they fall apart after having their only child, and he ends up having a tragic end. So there's a hunting lodge just outside of Vienna, Meierling, and he purchases this, and it's sort of his get away from the court, get away from the castle, and he has a girlfriend there, Countess, 17 years old, and infamously, his life ends in what's called the Meierling event, and it's a suicide pact, right? They're so deeply in love, but they're not in love with the world they find themselves in, and they are found dead, simultaneously dead together, and only a century later do they actually find out the details of it through some lost notes that are hidden. But it so struck the world, both the kind of the sordid affair nature of it, but also like how tragic it was, and the fact that the only heir to the throne is now dead at the age of 31, something like that. That no short of 4 full feature Hollywood films were made based on that story, that tragic romance. Audrey Hepburn, all sorts of famous actresses, all through like the mid-30s to, in fact, there's a series right now on Netflix, streaming on Netflix, called The Empress. I don't know if you've ever come across it, but it's basically the story of Empress Elizabeth, her Bohemian roots, and how she didn't get along with the court, and Franz Josef's mother, the evil mother-in-law, and all that. Anyway, my girlfriend and I love watching it because now I know the story of the family. But Hollywood in the States fell in love with the tragedy of that story and made movies, plays, musicals, all sorts. But what happened was the next in line was Franz Joseph's brother. He dies, 5 years later from typhoid. So now next in line is his nephew, Ferdinand.
Franz.
Yeah, Franz Ferdinand. And he gets assassinated.
Yeah, which kicks off.
By a nationalist, and that starts World War I. That is the precipitant to World War I. Yeah, all because this young man decided to end his life early. So
love.
Yeah.
What?
1883. It would have been the year his daughter was born. So this could have been commissioned as like a celebratory gift. You know, hey, your daughter was born. It was his 25th birthday, so it could have been a birthday present. But Rudolph was he's smaller than average. He's like 5'5", 5'6", pretty slight. This rifle, let you guys handle it, is obviously very petite.
That's what I'm wondering. So I'm looking at the bores. It's not a big cartridge.
It's not a big cartridge, but the weird thing is, okay, here's the cartridge. It's called the 9.5 by 47 rimmed.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a target rifle cartridge.
Sure.
And it's made by necking down, I think the parent is the 43 Mauser, or it would be like the 11 by 60 rimmed Mauser.
God bless Bertram Brass.
Thank you.
I said
they saved the day once again.
I think I said that on the last one.
You did.
Like, for all you people do, and I'm serious, like so the parent case for this is obscure as it is.
Very.
And there are not a lot of custom brass manufacturers that can execute on this. And Bertram makes the most eclectic, odd, unique, obscure chamberings out there.
I would be stuck taking like a 4570, putting it in the lathe and trying to carve this stepped rim feature out of the base.
So that's what I wanted to ask about. I don't believe I've seen that before.
You might not have.
We don't even have 4570 in here.
Yeah, it's pretty unique, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, and I figured it was between, 35 and 40 caliber, just looking at the
Okay, so you've got a very keen eye. So when I slugged the chamber and the muzzle, I basically realized that I needed to make a mold to cast bullets that measured 391 OD. Okay, so not quite 40 caliber.
What do you mean by slugged the barrel?
I'm sorry. I took a chamber cast into the first inch of rifling, and I can measure the bore diameter and the groove diameter from that casting, like SeroSafe. If you've ever done that, to find out. Sometimes you have to. That's part of the mystery and discovery is okay. What's the real chambering for this? And so, but
you're not going to just go to Fleet Farm and buy some of these off the rack.
So what SeroSafe is for folks who just heard Ian say that and they're like, what? I actually don't know what the alloy is of SeroSafe, but
I don't either.
Yeah, low melting point. It's a metal.
Yeah.
And what you'll do, or what Ian likely absolutely did, is you'll plug the barrel at a depth that you want. So you wanted an impression or a negative of the rifling lands and grooves, as well as the chamber as possibly a validation of chamber ring.
Yep.
You pour this in there and it contracts, but not so much that you get an inaccurate measurement of what everything actually is. So you pop that out once it's cooled and you end up with, imagine this, but out of a silvery metallic alloy. And then you would have a little stem of rifling and bore there. And then you're indicating what that is to determine.
Yep. The material properties are such, and I don't know if they did this by design or it was a happy coincidence, and they said, well, this would make a really good chamber casting material. But that weird low melting temp alloy, it contracts, like Ryan said, after you do your casting process. You remove it quite easily because it's smaller everywhere than reality. But then it expands again when it reaches, when it settles to room temperature. So it's weird. The trick is, you take that casting out, you set it on the table, and then you come back 10 minutes later and take your measurements. Because if you take them too soon, then you actually get an underrepresentation.
Interesting.
Yeah. But that's how I could figure out, yep, it really is a 9.5 by 47 based on, some pictures online and whatnot. But the really weird thing is, okay, this was, at the tail end of the black powder era, but it was a very popular, very in vogue, high-tech, if you will, target round. So they made 10 by 47 rimmed, 9.8 by 47 rimmed, 9.5 by 47 rimmed. And before, I think there was a German standardization of caliber sizes convention like in 1909. So this would have predated that. So you kind of have to figure out, well, what's my bore size every time you resurrect one of these things?
Sure.
Because it might be somewhere in there. It might be a little less. Like some of these 9.5 by 47s, I believe, shoot 375 bullets or very close to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or you could take like a bullet meant for like a 38-40 and maybe do a slight swage to it, and you'd be in business.
And originally, that's what I thought it was when I saw the board.
38-40?
I was like, what the hell could that be?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, 38-40, that crossed the ocean a couple times, and
Yep.
People did that. But this is cooler.
So the modern equivalent, if you were to put this into today's terms, because of how new this style of action was, because of how, new-ish but popular that cartridge was and renowned for precision and accuracy, not hunting. I don't think you find many hunting guns in that cartridge. It would be like if you had a custom rifle today with like the latest, greatest titanium action, carbon fiber barrel, and it was chambered in 6 dasher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this would be. And, you can press a 6 dasher into big game hunting if you want to.
Sure.
It's like people shoot deer with 6BR and those kind of target rounds. But essentially, it was like, okay, this young Royal is going to be on driven game hunts, but he's 5'5", 120 pounds. We don't want something that's going to embarrass him in front of, his German cousins and everything. Let's build him a double rifle that he can shoot quickly, straight English stock. In fact, a lot of English styling, you'll notice the word for safe is safe.
It's in English.
Not Seicher.
Yeah.
No side clips to the fence on the receiver, a la German, more English style. Anson and Dealey box lock, Anson and Dealey push button forend release instead of a more Germanic style. So it was very stylish, very kind of high end, accurate, but it's not going to beat them up with this. I mean, my bullet, I got a 20-to-1 mix mold. I had to design a mold. There's this place, accuratemolds.com.
Yep.
Awesome. If you've ever needed to cast, you basically have a rudimentary CAD software. You design your own bullet. Couple constraints you have to deal with. It doesn't have the CNC software to do like a full round nose. So it was like a flat point round nose that I designed. And I made it a ring stop bullet, which is sort of like a semi-heeled bullet. There's a little bit of a diameter change where the bullet seats against the mouth.
Sure.
But anyway, it drops at 215 grains.
Okay.
And I do nitro for black loads. So I do nitrocellulose, but I'm loading to black powder pressures with filler of choice. Some people use Kapok. I like Dacron. It's like synthetic pillow stuffing. So I get like 1,600, 1,650 out of a 215.
Yeah.
So
No
that's like,
kidding.
that's like a really spicy 41 rem mag.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it would fill the bill
Yep.
for shooting those wild pigs.
I mean, fairly close ranges.
Yep, very close.
Big bullet, enough velocity.
But meant to actually, shoot probably fairly well. I mean, look how broad that rear sight is. That's very target-esque, where you have a very broad rear sight. So you have this long horizontal plane, and then you can see how fine the front bead, the notch in the front.
I got to
front
take
bead
this
is
off
on that. So very well regulated with that load that I just told you about. And it's just super pleasant to shoot.
I've never thought of a double rifle within the context of a target rifle.
Yeah, no, it's kind of oxymoronic when you think about it.
Right. But I love it, though.
It's one of a kind, that's for sure.
The 6 dasher of double guns.
Yeah, and like a nice short 62 centimeter length barrel, I believe. Just very fast with that straight grip.
I mean, the petite nature of the entire package, to me, it reminds me of like some Like if you told me that it was a side-by-side 410, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about that size, isn't it? Yep. There's other like cues that let you know it's
Now I'm taking my headphones off.
It's like best grade. Ryan, you've seen probably inlaid points before in a pistol grip of a buttstock.
Yep.
Those are not ebony; they're horn.
Sure. Buffalo
And
horn.
They're very convoluted, I guess you could say.
Sure.
It's not a diamond.
Yep. Not your typical.
No, it's something that would take very painstaking inletting, and of course, just to elevate the status of it.
Yeah, I guess if I would look at them and describe the shape to those not watching, it looks like a lance head or a spear head.
Yeah.
Of some kind, and they are lovely.
And then there's other little touches. You get into minutia, but if you ever see a screw head in that specific spot, that's what's called an intercepting sear, and that's sort of I haven't figured out exactly why it's so highly regarded, but it's like a element of safety or strength, or maybe both, but hard to implement. So you saw them only on kind of like, okay, let's pull out all the stops for this one.
I'm looking to the rib is really interesting, stepped rib.
Yep.
And the rear sight placement would be typically where I'd see the front of a quarter rib end. And then it's got this little bit of engraving here on the step on the front.
Oh, I never noticed that.
A little bit of engraving on the step in the rear.
Yeah.
And so we've talked before about embellishments on rifles and that, yes, they're aesthetic, but they also show the care or the pride of work that's put into that thing, and just all the little things that have been touched and kissed by the artist's hands, where it was completely unnecessary, totally aesthetic, totally artistic, and everything's touched. Every fastener that I can see has an engraved head on it. Not a single one of them is slick.
There's really kind of a big spectrum of engraving.
Yeah.
You know, we've sat and talked about some guns here recently that have had some engraving on them, and you wouldn't ever say it wasn't, good engraving. But then when you look at something like this, it's finer.
Yeah,
it's a lot finer and a lot more detailed and just way less coarse. Like when you look at that arabesque, those roses there. I mean, for one, they're extremely small, but then very detailed.
It's so fine and detailed, you actually have to look close to see it.
That's what I mean. It's like faint scratching.
It's like you get closer, like, oh, that's beautiful. From this far away, you can tell something's going on.
And then you grab one of those, mid 20th century rifles and put it next to this, and you just finished saying that those were beautiful, but they look very coarse in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, a mix of different elements. And so there's a couple of resources on the web, on the World Wide Web, if you want to look at engraving styles by country or region, and then time period and what was in vogue or what belonged to which country or region and how they did it. And there's a lot of things going on in here. There's floral bits, there's conventional scrolling, there's line work, there's, like looking here on the side of this clip, just that cross hatching for what?
Oh,
other than
when you get to these bolsters
Yeah.
on the side here,
Yep.
yeah, those are actually cross hatched. You're right.
And it was a completely unnecessary step, but it's so lovely and tasteful.
And then you start looking at the tang length for the trigger guard.
Sure.
It's always very, very kind of
To
long and exaggerated.
to mid stock, yeah.
Yep. Very fine line per inch
Yeah.
check ring. That was sort of another.
And it's still nice and
Standard.
sharp and looks great.
So, if we're being honest, if I keep looking, I might find some prints that was alive somewhere in Bavaria that had a first name with the letter R, but I kind of want to stop looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of want to drink my concocted Kool-Aid and just think, I'm going to grab my Prince's rifle and go out stalking deer.
So you've shot it, obviously.
Yep.
How's it shoot?
absolutely perfectly.
Yep.
Yep. I paralleled the bores or regulated. I just had to tweak the load up and down a little bit to make sure they weren't converging too soon. Right now they're like parallel at 60 yards, and I'm really happy with it. Yep.
Ian,
that's so cool.
I want to just drive you around while you take an individual rifle that you have, and let us go find some white-tailed does. I will be your skinner and packer, just to watch you.
We'll have to grab 3 of these and just go
just
on
to watch you blood a couple of these things. I mean, so it was really crazy. Is like, when did he die?
He died in 1888. 1888.
There's a potential that this rifle has not seen the field since 1888.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like it was just sort of, no one wants to think about the hunting lodge, Meyerling. I think they turned it into a convent for nuns.
Sure.
It was just the scandal of it and everything. It probably got packed away and then just somehow went across the Atlantic.
It's in fantastic shape for a gun of its vintage.
Did you check out the bores?
I did.
Yeah, sharp rifling.
Yeah.
I don't think it's seen many shots.
Fantastic shape for a gun of its vintage. And then a lot of these working guns too, not working in the sense like this isn't a PH's rifle that goes, to Africa and stomps out pachyderms for the ivory trade, but it's a gun that would have been used.
Yeah.
And a lot of I have seen, I guess, a very small handful of guns owned by some sort of royal provenance, but a lot of them, they were just tools. Mm-hmm. And so they go on a driven hunt. They'd shoot the living heels off of them, slamming them shut, chucking them down. Give me another gun. Do it again. Load or reloads.
Hopefully the armor would clean it after the day was done, maybe.
Yeah, but they don't often end up in great condition for a rifle that's as old as this one. Mm-hmm. And so, who knows? I mean, there's no way to know. We don't know how many hands it's changed since you took ownership of it. But, oh, yeah.
I've got a buddy who's into these kind of things, and he was following along as I designed my mold and cast the bullets. And so I just set up the phone and did a little, first shooting video for him. Yeah. I said, okay, Dan, this thing, I'm about to shoot it. It might be the first time in, a really long time, over 100 years. And, it's crown jewel of the collection. One of them. Yeah.
And I mean, what an incredible story. And then the person who had this before you, do you have any backstory on how they came into ownership? It sounds like they didn't know what
why would they hawk it? I mean, I bought it for I'm not going to speculate on what its value is.
Yeah.
I'll never get rid of it, but it was a small fraction, I imagine, of what it's actually worth. But that was at a profit to the pawn shop. Mm-hmm. So it was not someone who appreciated it or who was in such desperation that they needed to try and find things to sell, which is unfortunate. But, if I can take care of it, enjoy it, and then tell the story when I pass it on, then, maybe it's got another 100 years in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think we can be thankful that it ended up in the hands of a person who does appreciate it, who does know, what it is. It's not just, leaning down, barrel down and in some basement that's, getting wet in the winter sort of deal, which I've seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So on the load, I'm just curious. You're probably using a pistol powder or something like 30-31 or
41-98.
Okay.
Yeah.
So still a energy powder from a rifle perspective. Yep. And then you are using a Dacron filler.
Yep.
Mold, is it at that velocity? You don't need a gas check.
No, three lube grooves.
Yep.
I just pan lube them.
Yep.
And it's a pretty substantial wad. It's like filler. It's about 9 grains. I weigh it out. Yep. And got to grab a tamping rod to so to speak and sort of push it down. And there's absolutely no room left.
Sure.
I like the K-Pop or the Dacron better than the K-Pop. It seems like it has less of a chance of compressing and forming a wad. You want a filler, not a wad.
Yep.
Okay.
Because you don't really want to accelerate that buildup of peak pressure while the projectile's still in the bore.
Yeah, because this is well before nitro-proofing.
Right.
Well before, very long before. So who knows what it's capable of withstanding. And so yeah, that's a keen move.
And there's no point in pushing it.
No.
You know, if you have something that will serve the purpose, and the purpose for me is that 60-yard shot on a whitetail, then load them and shoot them at that, modest level.
Ian, you have so many cool guns that you really need to ramp up your deer hunting.
I know. They're out of proportion.
You're not gonna. You got to get through these things.
Dude, the problem
How are you
is-
going to get them all to the field?
The problem is once you start down this path,
It becomes its own kind of thing. It's
And
weird.
It's less about hunting them, and it's more about this entire incredible backstory. Although I really do want to watch you shoot. We're not even going to call them does. We're just going to call them hinds. We're just going to we're going to do it right.
I like it.
Yeah. Ian goes on a hind stalking adventure in the driftless. I got a spot, man. You say when? I'll drive.
That would be a neat feeling to walk up on something you took with something that's that old. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Drive. Yeah, I think maybe you were talking about the vehicle, but I think you and I can, and then we'll drive.
Yeah.
We'll drive the game to Ian.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
No, this is, man, I'm going to feel like royalty for sure.
Shoe fits.
You're a prince.
That's cool.
That's fantastic.
I'm a pauper, but I'll pretend with this for a day.
And again, I'm so happy that it's not a 3840.
Oh, I know.
And when I looked at the chambers, like, no, too big to be a 3840. What?
But this is this fat little thing. It's really kind of darling, isn't it? I like the fact that it's 40 caliber, something that's kind of substantial.
That's cool.
Takes a lot of weight out of the tubes too.
Yeah. What a handsome little thing it is.
So not what you wanted to talk about today, but we'll do.
Oh, it was fate.
Idea.
It was fate. Like I said, this is way better.
That's pretty magic. That's pretty magic.
What a cool gun. What a cool story. I'm glad you ended up with it. Yeah.
Check out if you got like a rainy, Saturday night and you're looking for like an old timey movie, the Meyerling incident. It's kind of a neat.
I'm gonna have to check that out now too.
Yeah. But or the Empress, that series that's running right now on Netflix is pretty cool.
This podcast also may have solidified, the cool guns with Ian series or something.
1,000%.
We've pseudo started, but this might be
I'd be more curious, and we'll save this for another day. The ones that you don't have and are pursuant of, or the ones that got away.
You might only find out about them right after I reduce them to possession.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't have competition.
Okay.
Between you two.
I'm only looking for. I've told this to a lot of people. I've owned almost everything I've ever wanted. Now, things like this come up where the brain disengages, the hamster falls out of the wheel, and then I have to have it because it's the coolest thing I've ever seen, or I've never seen.
Yeah.
There's only a handful that I want.
Yeah, same.
I was just telling Mark, there's a rifle that I'm pursuant of that is within a day's drive, and I might know what I'm doing on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's worth it because your short list is so short.
Yep.
That I don't mind waiting for these rare opportunities to come around, but my collection is outgrown my short list because it's the things that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
It's the things that catch me out of left field that are like, whoa, that's special.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't on my list, but it certainly is now.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, so cool, Ian. I mean, golly, what luck.
I know.
Well, I should say luck / you've perfected your craft here as far as like you said, like we're talking about, you need to take these hunting, but you are you are treasure hunting.
A little bit.
It's so cool.
Yep.
I love it. Well, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for sharing this firearm with us and the cool story behind it. I mean, it sounds like you did your research. Like I'd be in the same. I'd be like, I like the story. I like the story that I have with this gun right now. But I mean, it sounds like you haven't found anything to prove otherwise. That's like kind of the best hypothesis for it. Right?
You'd have to go on some like gun specific antique roadshow to have some guy tell you, no, it was made in Yugoslavia 15 years ago.
Yeah. For a guy named Prince Rick, who was he was a rapper, very bad career. Yeah. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, no. Cool, man. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for listening. There you have it. Maybe the first official episode of Cool Guns with Ian, or just, another episode in the line of more to come. So
yeah, and if you want more Ian, make sure you respond Ian in the comments. We will then send them to him so that he is validated as one of the coolest dudes we know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy hunting and shooting. Happy treasure hunting. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.